Hello and welcome to TRT World's Year in Sport. We're taking a look at all the highs and lows from the sporting sphere's past 12 months. The dirty word of the year was FIFA. No prizes for guessing why. With football in free fall and officials getting arrested, we asked the hard questions of those who mattered.
2 million is nothing.
What happened there precisely?
It's a private, personal relationship.
The sporting world came to a standstill as terror attacks shocked Paris.
They're not just looking at maybe, well, we just attacked the one area. They're going to create as much confusion, as much chaos and fear as they can.
While Russia found themselves on the outer following WADA's claims of a state-sponsored doping program, a situation that wasn't helped by Sebco or his predecessor.
The journey back to trust is not a scientific one. There is no certainty in this.
Lionel Messi, Serena Williams, American Pharaoh, just some of the stars of 2015, and we found ourselves caught up in it as well. So let's dive in and take a look at the year that was on TRT World. It hasn't exactly been a blockbuster year for feel-good sports stories, and that's generally down to one word and 4 letters: FIFA. 2015 will be remembered as the year football's governing body imploded. Most of its top brass have by now found themselves either arrested, charged, or under investigation for corruption. Lance Santos takes a look at the 12 months FIFA officials would rather forget, but football fans never will.
FIFA's woes began here in May. It was supposed to be a normal election. Prince Ali of Jordan up against Sepp Blatter. All the delegates were staying in this hotel behind me and everything was supposed to go as planned. But that never happened. Here at the back exit, the less glamorous side of the Bar-Relax, Swiss police drove up here in the middle of the night and dragged FIFA members from their beds in dawn raids. This was the beginning of the end for FIFA. Just days after, and with the eyes of the world's media firmly fixed on FIFA, the organisation still went ahead with its election. Sepp Blatter was supposed to win comfortably, but that didn't happen. The big shock came in the afternoon when Prince Ali of Jordan took Mr. Blatter to a second round of voting. But somewhat dazed and stunned, Sepp Blatter still prevailed.
I like my job and I like to be with you. I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. But we will do a good job together, I'm sure. So I thank you so much. I thank you for the trust and confidence. Trust and confidence, together we go. Let's go FIFA, let's go FIFA. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, scandal after scandal proved to be the thorn in FIFA's side. Just 4 days after being elected president, Sepp Blatter called a surprise press conference right here at FIFA HQ, where he stunned the world by announcing that he is to resign.
Pour le football et pour notre institution.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have thoroughly considered my presidency, thought about my presidency and about the last 40 years of my life. This is why I will call an extraordinary Congress and put at disposal my function. It is going to be held as soon as possible and a new president will be elected to follow me as the new president. I will continue to exercise my function as president of FIFA until the new elections are going to be held.
In September, FIFA was well and truly in freefall. Its General Secretary, Jerome Fulker, suspended. The net was really closing in on those indulging themselves at the expense of the world's most popular game. After several delays and no sign of Sepp Blatter, news slowly began to drift in that the president was under investigation from the Swiss authorities.
Now, let me say that the betrayal of trust that is set forth here is truly outrageous. And the scale of corruption alleged herein is unconscionable. And the message from this announcement should be clear to every culpable individual who remains in the shadows, hoping to evade this ongoing investigation. You will not wait us out, and you will not escape our focus. I'm also announcing today that many have already heeded that warning. Today, I can report that 8 additional defendants have agreed to plead guilty for their involvement in the corruption schemes that we have outlined. After the initial charges were filed in May, these 8 defendants came forward and accepted responsibility for their criminal conduct. 5 of them were not named in the original indictment. As I have stated before, anyone who seeks to live in the past and return soccer to its old ways is on the wrong side of progress and does a disservice to the integrity of this beautiful sport.
In December, the Ethics Committee came crashing down on the man who set it up in the very first place. Sepp Blatter and Michel Platini both given 8-year bans, and the man who ruled the game for so long showing clear signs of fatigue. But despite the bans, Sepp Blatter, as usual, still defiant.
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry for the 400 plus FIFA team members, and I'm sorry for football. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry that I am still somewhere, a punching ball, but I'm also sorry about me.
Well, 2015 has been an awful year for FIFA here in Zurich and across the world, but we're not done just yet. Next year, Sepp Blatter and Michel Platini will appeal against their 8-year bans, and the criminal investigations are only just getting started. Or, in the words of the Swiss Attorney General, we're not even at halftime.
Well, Lance Santos joins us now from the FIFA headquarters in Zurich. Thank you for joining me, Lance. Now, it's been a dramatic year for football, but should it have gotten this far?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at it. It probably shouldn't have got to this. If you look at the world's global game, football's most popular sport, and to the extent at the widespread corruption and more allegations coming forward that World Cups have been tarnished, have been bought. Sepp Blatter himself in an interview recently said that the World Cups smell. So no, it should not have gone to this. It should not have gone to this level of widespread corruption. But if you look at it on the other hand, we are at a point where we have now discovered the corruption that has taken place, and therefore we can now move forward. So we've got there, we've looked at the cause of these problems, and I guess if you want to look at a positive side of it going forward into the next year, is that FIFA can move forward now. FIFA has identified what is wrong with it, and that is how you move forward.
How were these officials allowed to run FIFA like this for so long?
Well, that is the question obviously everybody wants answers for, including the FBI and the Swiss authorities. But FIFA for so long has been playing in a game unto itself, really. Sepp Blatter has organised this massive global business, if you like, a corporation somewhat, whereby its members are decided by its existing members. And by that I mean FIFA is not voted for by the public. To become FIFA president, you don't need to win the votes and the hearts of the public. You just need to win the votes of the people that already exist within FIFA. And for those people, they've been voting not with their hearts in the way FIFA should go, but they've been voting with their wallets, if you like, and all of the lavish expenses that Sepp Blatter has allowed this corporation to give people.
And looking ahead, what happens to FIFA in 2016?
Well, the first thing to note is that in February, FIFA will choose its new president. Sepp Blatter officially gone. Although he is serving a ban, we've seen he's defiant and insistent of hanging around FIFA. But as of February, it will have a new leader and a new look, a new face to it. But will it go in a different direction, or will it linger in the same corrupt ways that it has done in the past? Also, talking of Blatter and Platini, they will appeal their 8-year bans. You can expect that. Both have said that will happen, and that'll go ahead.
And that was Lance Santos in Zurich. While FIFA's conduct this year was scary in its own right, it was nothing compared to the Paris terror attacks in November. 180 people were killed when coordinated attacks took place across the French capital, targeting, among others, football fans at the Stade de France. Lachlan Gazzelli takes us through what happened that night and the sporting world's response.
In an instant, the world of sport can change forever. Paris was plunged into chaos by the worst attacks on the city since the Second World War, and the match between France and Germany being played at the Stade de France was no exception. The two nations' most popular pastimes placed firmly in the crosshairs. Suicide bombers converged on the stadium, attempting to get inside and take the lives of thousands. Moments later, the attacker triggered a suicide vest outside this bar, killing one other person. The horrendous attacks took the lives of more than 100 people and shook a nation to its very foundations. As the French people attempted to piece their lives back together, the response that broke the silence which had descended over France came in the form of the nation's battle cry, the national anthem. But it wasn't in France, this was London. There were questions over whether a mere friendly match between England and France would go on, but go on it did, though the result was insignificant. This was a match for humanity, and a game for the world of football to heal. English fans singing the French anthem and holding aloft the tricolour as sport blurred national lines. As we look towards 2016, the concerns of security at sporting events refuse to go away. France will host the European Championships in May, and legitimate concerns over security have already been raised.
Not much changed. Yes, you have more security, more money, probably more effort put into it, but you have to be as involved in this whole security thing. Every country, not just France, before the Euros, to make sure that everything is safe.
But when the world's worst problems turned their attention to the sporting sphere, everyone, from players and officials to supporters across the globe, showed why football is more than just a game.
Sebastian Coe was once the golden boy of track and field, and this year should have been his most successful yet. But between his predecessor Lamine Diack and accusations of state-sponsored doping in Russia, his dream job of IAAF president has quickly turned into a nightmare. Patrick Dybell breaks down a tough 12 months for the Olympic champion.
August 19. It's the day that everyone in the world of athletics had expected for so long. Senegal's Lamine Diack is stepping down from the IAAF presidency after 16 years. Two former athletes, Great Britain's Sebastian Coe and Ukraine's Sergei Bubka, both want the job. But in the end, it's Coe, considered the big favourite all along, winning the election 115 votes to 92.
Track and field is the #1 sport, and I'm absolutely delighted to be the president of the #1 sport.
Coe's victory is greeted with enthusiasm by the world of athletics, but it's not long before the new IAAF president understands that his election party is already over. Sebastian Coe has been at the helm of the IAAF for only 2.5 months before facing his first crisis, and it wasn't a small one. Former IAAF President Lamine Diack and other senior officials are placed under investigation by French police following allegations they were suppressing positive drug tests of Russian athletes. Sebastian Coe had nothing to do with those allegations, but he understands that he's also cornered. He was, after all, the IAAF's vice president for the last 8 years. 5 days after the shock with Lamine Diack, the world of athletics finds itself in front of another storm. WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, makes public the results of a report which reveal that Russia operated a huge state-sponsored doping program.
We have found cover-ups, we found destruction of samples in the laboratories, we found payments of money in order to conceal doping tests.
But at the IAAF headquarters, Sebastian Coe has no other option but to start the process of kicking Russia out from all track and field activities.
Well, actually, the honest answer to that is I think the discipline that we are putting ourselves under at the moment is actually not to be too concerned about deadlines. It is for the IAAF to decide when ARAF is ready to return to the fold.
Coe also finds himself in a personal crisis. With the Russian problem sorted, focus turns to his long-standing association with Nike. Does the IAAF president have a conflict of interest? Coe denies everything, but quits his job with the sportswear giant nevertheless.
I made a judgment that the issues that I've been dealing with in the last few weeks needs an unflinching focus.
After less than 6 months in power, Sebastian Coe has tackled more than most as the leader of world athletics. Whether he effectively deals with it all or it just reduces him to a shadow of his once enigmatic self still remains to be seen.
Well, Patrick Dybell joins us now. And Patrick, track and field has enjoyed fairly a good year up until the final few months. Where did it all go wrong?
It all kind of started falling to pieces after the World Championships in August. That was about the time when Sebastian Coe took over from Lamine Diack. And Diack was then subsequently investigated by French prosecutors for allegedly suppressing positive doping tests, which is a huge claim to make. And he was allegedly taking massive bribes surrounding all of this. And this then in turn led to the wider claims that Russia was state-sponsored doping its own athletes to win more and more medals. And that's what's led us to where we are today.
Well, it was an extraordinary step to exclude Russia from all international athletics, but is it enough to stamp out doping?
It might be enough to stamp out the state-sponsored doping that's been alleged that the Russians took part in, but whether it stamps out individual athletes doping themselves, you've got to remember these aren't always under the umbrellas of national organisations or teams. They run individually, they train individually, and they've got a lot of time on their own. So there's every chance that someone looking for an edge will go to that extra level. A lot of Olympic athletes were asked a little while ago if they could reduce their life by 10 years to win a gold medal, would they do it? And some absolute majority said yes, they would.
Damning stuff. Well, what next for the IAAF going into 2016?
Well, it has been a big year in 2015, but 2016 is going to be even bigger because what we're going to see is the Rio Olympics. The men's 100-metre final is the blue ribboned event at the Olympics. Everyone loves watching the athletics. And so all eyes are going to be on the IAAF in how they run this competition. Now, there's not going to be a Russia at this stage in proceedings. That's because they still have to prove that they're clean enough to be allowed back into the competition. And the other big thing that athletics is going to do over the next 12 months is reform. Sebastian Coe is all about reform. He was on the FIFA Ethics Committee, he was on the reform committees for the IAAF, and he wants to make athletics clean. Whether he does that or not still remains to be seen.
Patrick, thank you very much. Well, so far on this programme, we've seen nothing but negatives coming from the world of sport. But 2015 was much more than scandal and scorn. Every year, sport of all kinds puts smiles on faces and brings people together. And these 12 months were no different. Here's our most spectacular moments of the year. Sport is more than the corrupt official in head office or the million-dollar superstars on the world stage. It could be a kid kicking a flat football down the street or someone getting up before sunrise and swimming laps and laps every day. Over the past year, we've spoken to some amazing people and heard incredible stories. Peter Franks takes a look at some of our favourites.
A well-worn saying in these circles is that sport is for the fans. When Galatasaray won a record 20th Turkish Super League title, that certainly rang true.
My favourite player is Fernando Muslera. Together with Wesley Schneider, he was one of our best players in achieving our last championship.
We came from Germany for this match. We love Galatasaray very much. Me and my kids, we are passionate about our team. My children are all Galatasaray fans.
AEK Athens showed us how they clawed themselves back from debt and say it was all down to the fans.
I think it was a good thing for the club. When AEK was playing the Football League 2, you could see how the fans were united around the team. Everybody was feeling how unique this club is. Supporting AEK is a whole life philosophy. You're born an AEK fan. You cannot become an AEK fan. We have AEK in our minds, in our hearts, and painted on our bodies.
Baseball players across Asia were going home, but not after going past first, second and third. The major leagues beckon, and China is determined its sports programs will knock it out of the park.
As the first Chinese player to do so, I felt that my hard work, the efforts of my coaches in recent years, have all helped achieve this great outcome.
We saw the Rugby World Cup lifted by Richie McCaw, and although not quite as dominant, there was just as much passion for the game in Laos.
At the start, I didn't even know what rugby was. I was curious to understand how it worked, so I came to learn about it. I decided to try it, and I fell in love with it.
The Bosphorus is one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, but it was shut down one Sunday morning for a few hundred people to go for a leisurely dip. They splashed their way from Asia to Europe in just a few hundred meters.
This is the unique adventural swimming race, open water race, and also is in between Asia and Europe, two continents. There is no other one.
Some like to swim, others climb, and these two with one of the more outrageous selfies of the year. We can't wait to watch them top it in 2016.
2015 was a big year for sport. There was drama on the field and in the boardroom, cries of corruption and cheers of champions. But believe it or not, there's even more to look forward to in the next 12 months. 2015 was supposed to be a quiet year for the world of sport, but 2016 is going to be massive. From the Super Bowl to cycling, the Masters to MotoGP and every major in between. Brazil plays host to the sporting world's biggest stage as the Olympic rings find a new home in Rio de Janeiro. But it's not all about the gold medal favourites. Guys like Ramil Guliev have high hopes.
Rio is vital for me in my career. I have to show my best and I will do anything to be in top form until I get there.
Some expert sailors are using the best views in the world to warm up for the Games, while others are just trying to balance a normal life with dreams of Paralympic glory.
I'm a hard worker. I work tirelessly. I always do my best to reach my goals. Winning gold at the Olympics is my biggest goal since day one.
Greece brings us a stop warning about the so-called Olympic legacy.
When a young athlete starts his career, he has to pay all the expenses from his own pocket.
And away from Rio, the Formula One circus could get rooted again.
Geographically, Turkey's in a very good position, being between two continents. It's basically the centre of everything, I guess.
The refugee crisis will continue, but sport is playing a key role in helping thousands who have found themselves without a home.
We are done with Syria. We hope someone will find us here and employ us.
2016 promises to be a year sports fans across the world will never forget. So plenty to look forward to over the next 12 months, and TRT World will be there for every big story along the way. But for now, though, that's it from us. We'll see you in 2016.